Well, BoxLang, we first officially announced it last year at Into the Box, the first beta of it. It's based, I'm going to read the official marketing speak. It's a modern, dynamically and loosely typed scripting language for multiple runtimes. It's for the
ColdFusion Alive, the podcast for the ColdFusion community. Discover practices, tools, techniques, tips and trends for modern ColdFusion development. Brought to you by TerraTech, the ColdFusion experts. Develop, secure, optimize. Here is your host, the founder of TerraTech, Michaela Light.
Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Daniel Garcia, and he and I are going to talk about an amazing ColdFusion conference coming up real soon now called Into the Box. You may think it only covers box things, but actually it covers all kinds of ColdFusion things as well. And if you don't know Daniel, he's been doing ColdFusion for decades now. Probably started working in web tech. Yes, decades. Started in 1997 with web tech, and he loves doing it. He's also a dad. Got an 11-year-old son who's a musician, and he's the manager, or he likes to call himself the dad manager of his son. And he's also a podcaster, DJ, has a wicked sense of humor. So welcome, Daniel.
Thank you for having me, Michaela. It's been years since
we last on the show. So what is this Into the Box conference for people? I know what it is, but maybe some people listening don't.
Well, Into the Box. So first of all, my name is Daniel Garcia. I'm with Ortus Solutions. We're one of the premier ColdFusion consulting companies out there. You've probably heard of us. We're the box company: ColdBox, CommandBox, TestBox, ContentBox, all that. And Into the Box, get it? Into the Box. It's a box theme. Is our annual developer conference. And so we put it on every year. Last year was the first time we moved to DC with it. Again, this year we're going to be DC again. But it's our conference to bring together developers, engineers, enthusiasts, basically anyone who works with ColdFusion, BoxLang, any related technologies, kind of learn best practices, networking, discuss trends, things like that.
All right. And so there'll be a lot of things about ColdBox and CommandBox. And how many box things are there these days? Every time I turn around, it seems there's another box ColdFusion library or tool released.
Well, the quick answer is I don't know. And I'm going to get made fun of for that later by my team in a good way. But there's a lot of boxes. There are. And because not just the main core products, we also have a lot of modules and all sorts of things to go with it. I should have been more prepared, Michaela. I'm sorry. If you want me
worries,
to go,
that's okay.
But if we can keep going.
But there's more than 20, I think, right?
There are a lot. The main ones that people know are going to be ColdBox, CommandBox. Love CommandBox. We love ColdBox too. ContentBox, TestBox, StashBox. All these. Well, I could just go to the website and look at them, but that's less interesting.
No worries. Just the people should know there are a lot out there, and if they may not have realized quite how many there are.
Well, one of the coolest.
But that could be go ahead. What's the coolest one?
This is the newest one. One of the newest is BoxLang.
Oh yes,
that is our.
I was talking to Luis about that a little while ago on the show.
Yeah, and so just another box that's out there.
Yes, but it's a computer language like Lucy or Adobe ColdFusion. So
yeah, well, it is, but it's a lot more than that. It's a language that compiles down to Java. It can be ColdFusion compatible. So if you want to migrate over from Adobe or Lucy or anything else, so you're a ColdFusion developer, you can do that. But it's also really its own language with multiple runtimes. And so there's lots of cool things you can do. But today we're here to talk about Into the Box. And so
yes.
I can go on about BoxLang.
We'll ask later when we get to the speaks and topics about whether you're going to cover BoxLang or whether it will even be released by the time the conference comes out. But I think it is
cover BoxLang. I don't want to speak to releases, but
yes. So, but also just for folks, in case someone is allergic to box things, there are regular ColdFusion topics as well. So, developing with Docker, all kinds of database stuff.
But we do, obviously the CFML and BoxLang. We talk about cloud, APIs, DevOps, security, best practices. We got some front end, some database stuff. Kind of, we're not just a one trick pony. We do a lot of stuff. Because developers aren't one trick ponies either. If you're a developer, you're doing DevOps. You're doing this. You're doing that. You're doing all sorts of things.
Indeed. And then also the last time I was into the box when it was in Houston, Texas, there were less than 100 attendees. So it was quite intimate. You could meet everyone. You could talk to all the speakers in the hallway track. Is that still how it is? Or?
Absolutely is. And everyone's very accessible. And that's one of the things I really enjoyed. So before I joined Ortus about 3.5 years ago, I was a ColdFusion developer that go to conferences. And it is very cool to be able to just, meet Luis and chat with them for a little bit. Meet Brad Wood, John Klassen, all these other people that you've heard about do these really cool things and just chat with them. And they're just people. They like talking. They like talking tech. We're all geeks at heart. And you get that opportunity to make those connections. And if you're trying to figure something out, you can, hey, Brad, what's going on?
There you go. So let's look at who's speaking. What are some of the people who are speaking that people might have heard of that they could be interested in hearing from?
Okay, I'm going to look at the website really quick, just in order all these.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, when we do Enter the Box, it's a mix of Ortus people or Ortusians. I blank on the pronunciation, but a lot of Ortus people, but then half of it's community members. So obviously for the Ortus people, names you'd expect: Brad Wood, Luis Mahano, Eric Peterson, myself, Dan Card, Esme Acevedo, Grant Copley, Jacob Beers, Javi Quintero, John Klassen. But then we also got a lot of community members, people you'll know, like Brian Klass, Curt Gratz, Giancarlo Gomez, George Murphy, Kevin Wright, Michael Rigsby, Scott Steinbeck. So it's not an Ortus only conference. It's definitely, we try to get a really good mix between community as well as Ortus.
Yes, and you had an open call for speakers, I think, as well. So
is
that still on, or is that closed?
No, that did close. We've been announcing different sessions. We have another round coming up here. I have to check my notes. I had Maho, one of our wonderful marketing people, put together some talking points for me. But we're going to be announcing some of the final speakers pretty soon.
All right.
So the final release would be March 15th for the final agenda release.
All right. And when is the event itself?
So it's going to be April 30th through May 2nd in Washington, D.C. April 30th, day one is actually a workshop day. So if you want to come for the workshops, you got several really good ones. Otherwise, if you just want to come for the main conference itself, that's going to be May 1st and 2nd. And that's where you have all the sessions with all the different topics as well.
All right. So this is a weekday conference, Wednesday, April 30th through Friday, May the 2nd. And the Wednesday, you've got all day workshops.
We do. We actually have 4. We call it the pre-conference.
Your home recently changed to form.
Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay,
all right. Having disabled the smart speaker from interrupting us, I just love how all these AIs and little messages just kind of take over the world. It's quite entertaining.
When all these speakers came out, I went all in on the Amazon Echoes and all that stuff that came out.
Yep.
Loved it. I was in Star Trek, right? I could just talk to it and it would do stuff, turn on lights. And my son was just like 1 or 2. He would hear us talking to it. He wanted to talk to it. So he learned how to actually talk, enunciate by talking to the smart speaker.
Oh my goodness.
Love technology. But anyway, I digress. So we're talking about some of the workshops. We actually have 4 different workshops that we're going to be offering on the 30th as part of the pre-conference. We've got one, development and hosting using Docker, CI/CD, and AWS ECS. I'm giving that along with Jacob Beers. We got a getting started with BoxLang with Brad Wood, John Klassen, and Luis Mahano. We got another workshop. It's called Just Enough Workshop. Talks about CommandBox, ColdBox, CF-config, all the different pieces in the ecosystem. So if you're just kind of getting started and want to know how it all fits together, that's Dan Card and Javi Quintero are doing that. And then finally, we got Building Modern Apps with CB Wired Alpine JS with Grant Copley and Esme Acevedo. So 4 different ones, 4 very different topics, depending on what you're interested in.
And those are hands-on. You bring your own laptop with Lucy or Adobe ColdFusion or BoxLang installed and a database.
Yep, absolutely.
And you'll learn
day-long sessions, interactive. It's not you just sit there and listen. We actually do things together. Right, but bring your laptop, CommandBox. That's really the main thing, is to have a CommandBox and often a database server, depending on which session you're doing. But,
and then, as well as people teaching, I assume there's like I don't know what you call it, someone else who goes around the room when people get stuck to help them get unstuck.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So at any given point, we'll have one person presenting and then another person acting as a TA, I guess.
Yes, teacher assistant or whatever the phrase stands for. So, and then, so the first day of the conference is actually the Thursday, the 1st of May, right?
Correct. Absolutely. Yep. And then,
so, and the conference seems to kick off quite early at 7:30 for breakfast.
Well, that's breakfast. The registration,
okay.
The keynote itself starts at 9 a.m.
Yes.
I laugh because I am not a morning person.
Oh, okay.
I am get there like at 8:40, grab a quick bite, get some juice, and go to the keynote.
Yes, there you go. And the keynotes are always epic because it's like a tag team show of all the new features and roadmaps and what's cool in the world of ColdFusion and Box.
Oh, absolutely. The cool things we do, things our customers do, big announcements that we have. I'm not going to tease anything because Luis is the person that would tease stuff. But yeah, it's not just one person going on for an hour about how cool everyone is. It really is you get to see a lot of different aspects of what we do and what other people are doing and products and insights.
So what are some of the exciting topics this year?
Well, we don't have them all released yet. They will be middle of March, but what I can tell you, and I'm actually going.
Yes, what is released?
Okay, well, if you go to endofthebox.org for everyone watching, you'll be able to see the entire agenda, or at least what's out there. But we got things on ContentBox, IoT hardware, obviously a bunch of BoxLang stuff, passkey, CB security, using Open API, legacy code, CommandBox, WebSockets. That's just the first day. The second day, customizing your runtime with, again, more BoxLang stuff.
Wait a minute. I think you missed the evening party on the first day.
Getting to it. I'm getting to it.
You're getting to it? Okay. Okay. Just you skipped to the second day. So.
Well, you asked about topics.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So, given that info.
Yes, go ahead. Tell us the day 2. I want to get to the party, but
I know
network.
We'll get to it. You got to build up.
Right,
to it.
But what are the other topics you can tell us about?
Well, day 2, just really quick. We got some DevOps, CI/CD. I'm doing one on that. Again, more security, some database ones, scheduled tasks. Doing portable CI with GitLab and GitHub. So a lot of, different things. It's not just ColdFusion. It's not just BoxLang. It's all sorts of things. But to get to the topic that you're really excited about, on the evening of day 1, we have HappyBox. So HappyBox is kind of our conference get-together, reception, party. We have usually some sort of food there. It's a chance for you to network with others. In a nice, very more relaxed, informal, talk to those people that you maybe only heard about, want to talk about. More often than not, we have a mariachi band, and they'll come. At least they've been every year I've been to End of the Box, and that's always really nice. And depending on how people are, you might even get a couple of people up there singing with them or dancing with them.
Oh, wow!
It get pretty crazy. Not me. I'm usually pretty reserved. I'm there with my appetizer and just talking to people. But
there you go.
But yeah, I think last year Jorge sang with them, or the year before. Jorge sang with the mariachi band, and Edgardo's over there dancing and teaching people how to do reggaeton or whatever. And so it really is a fun time. It's a chance to network and just socialize. We're all developers, we're all geeks, but this is a chance just to kind of, relax and have fun.
So which of the topics in there are you particularly interested in? Other than the ones you're giving yourself, of course.
This year, see, the problem with this conference, and honestly, the problem with most of these conferences, is you get a lot of great topics, and a lot of times they're at the same time slot. So it's like,
oh no,
I want to do this, but I want to do this, and what do I do? Well, we solve that. We record all our sessions, and then by coming to Into the Box, we will put them onto CFcast later. And so by attending Into the Box, you'll get a free access to that once they're released after the conference. And so that's always something, hey, I really want to go to this session. I really want to go to this session. Well, why not both? Just you might have to wait a little bit on the other. But the topics I'm most excited about, honestly, are going to be the BoxLang ones. We're doing some really neat things. Again, I can't give too much away. You can bug Luis. Luis will talk your ear off about it all, but it's exciting. It really is. From the IDEs to the releases to the runtimes, and you can do AWS Lambdas with it. I mean, how cool is that?
It's very cool, particularly as you can't do that in Adobe ColdFusion. So
yeah,
they kind of teased that you were going to be able to do it, and then they pulled back at the last minute to say, no, we're not releasing this feature. So we won't possibly speculate why they might have done that, but you now can do that with BoxLang, and I think you can do it with Lucy and have been able to for a while. So
yeah, there's some things you can do. And then on top of the BoxLang, I'm also excited. I'm always excited about DevOps. Some of the Docker things, some of the CI/CD things. I mean, I'm giving a CI/CD talk, but it's really more of an intro overview for people. And I want to learn more advanced stuff too, just like everyone else. I'm a developer, just like everyone else.
So CI/CD stands for what, for those people listening who might not know?
Continuous integration, continuous development. So
why would you do that?
So as a common workflow, say you're a developer or a team of developers, you've got your local server, then you got maybe a development server, you got production servers, a lot of times using source version control, like say Git, and with service, say like maybe GitHub or GitLab. I'll be talking about GitHub. You check in your code because all good developers check in their code. But when you want to deploy, in the old days, you would have to take your code and physically copy it and paste it to different servers or FTP it somewhere or do all sorts of things. Well, with CI/CD, you can actually script and automate the entire process. So now when I do my pull request for my feature branch in a dev, it will automatically deploy that to the dev servers and do whatever it needs to do, whether it's restart services or run migrations or install modules, whatever. And then when I want to go live with it, I can do my pull request from dev to main. Once that's merged, it can automatically deploy my code. I literally just press a button like that, and it just goes out there to the servers.
So you go away
dozens of servers, it automates it.
And it does it right every time.
Yes, it's the same way every time. So again, in the old days, you have to deploy to say a dozen servers. Like my last job, we had a dozen servers, and we were doing CI/CD, so that's not a good example. But if you had a dozen servers and had to manually put that code out there, it'd be very tedious. What if you missed a step? What if you forgot a server? What if you whatever? This really takes a human element out of the deployment process. It makes it robust and repeatable and automated, saving us time to be able to work on things like learning BoxLang or fixing bugs or whatever.
Well, there you go. So I noticed this connecting to the OpenAI artificial intelligence API.
For that session?
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Using AI. So do you do anything with AI, or is that dark art?
I really don't yet, to be honest. Other than use ChatGPT from time to time and play around with some tools, I have not got into the APIs. I'm interested, but I am not an AI early adopter.
All right. You're in the middle of the bell curve.
I am, actually, when it comes to stuff like that. But, I'm not the canary in the coal mine.
Okay.
I'm the guy that comes in and says, hey, is the canary still breathing? Great. Let's play around a little bit.
There you go. Are the AI canaries in ColdFusion Labs still breathing, do you think? Or
I think so. At least I haven't heard otherwise.
Well, would you hear if a canary is dead? Would you hear?
Well, somebody's bound to find it light, not to get morbid.
Someone else checks on the canaries. They would speak up.
Yeah, but with that session you just mentioned, I believe Brian Klass is doing that one.
Yeah,
Double check.
He is.
It is Brian. He's a great speaker. He's a great guy. Who is he? Again, I don't want to. I always feel bad saying I want to go to this session, not that session, because I don't want to influence anyone. Go to the sessions that you want to go to. I don't want to ever pick one over the other and then make somebody feel bad that why don't you go to mine? Why don't you go to that one? No.
Yeah. So his session's about how to connect to the OpenAI API so you can tell your app to do clever AI things. Whatever that might be, whether it's figuring things out or creating images or analyzing data.
Absolutely. It'll be a good session because Brian always has good sessions. But like I was saying before, it's opposite the BoxLang or the BoxLang IDE session.
Oh, no.
Because
there's a separate IDE for BoxLang?
Oh, absolutely. Well, yes and no. I say yes in that we have our own BoxLang extension for VS Code that will enable all sorts of goodness, I guess. Just like if you remember years back, there used to be a CF builder that was a separate around top of Eclipse, or they had their own brand CF builder. Then they got rid of that and they moved to having a VS Code IDE extension. That's what we did with BoxLang. We started out with the old CFML extension, branched off that. It was open source, branched off that. There were a lot of improvements into it, but it's not just for BoxLang. You can also develop your ColdFusion code with it. It's got a lot of the same helpers and insight checkers and things like that. But if you're doing BoxLang, you can use things like the step debugging. You can run the service from there. Also, it's really an integrated, well, that's what IDE is, but it's really an integrated development environment extension. But Jacob Beers, one of my coworkers, great guy, is going to be giving a session at that time as well. And so that's an example of two really great, strong sessions that, how do you choose?
Well, fortunately, they're recorded, so you can go to one. Yes. Or you could even go to neither of them and go to the hallway track.
Well, that's true. Maybe, you catch somebody and, catch Brad walking by, and once you get Brad going on a topic, Brad doesn't shut up. But he's very passionate. That's what's really cool. A lot of developers that come to these conferences, I'm not just Ortus people, but in general, they're passionate developers. And you start talking about these things and, excitement breeds excitement. And
yes.
It's not a stuffy conference, and yeah.
Get detailed show notes on today's episode in your free CF Alive Modern ColdFusion Guide at teratech.com. That is teratech.com. Viva la CF Alive Revolution!
Now, we've been talking about BoxLang. Could you just say in a sentence or two what is BoxLang? Because I noticed there was a post this week in the ColdFusion developer Facebook group where Luis announced BoxLang release candidate 1, which makes me think it probably will release prior to the conference, but no guarantees with beta versions.
Michaela, you can put Luis on the spot all you want, but
I want to hear from you. You must know something about BoxLang. I mean, my point was a lot of people when he posted that were like, Box, what? It's the first they'd heard of it. So although you may be living and swimming in BoxLang land, not everyone listening is. So
that's fair.
What is BoxLang?
Well, BoxLang, we first officially announced it last year at Into the Box, the first beta of it. It's I'm going to read the official marketing speak. It's a modern, dynamically and loosely typed scripting language for multiple runtimes. It's for the JVM. You got lots of goodness, functional programming, dynamic metaprogramming. A lot of these languages, like ColdFusion, it's its own language, but at the end of the day, what does it do? It compiles and runs on top of the JVM, Java environment. A lot of languages do that, right? Like Kotlin has its own thing. Scale, I think, has its own thing. At the end of the day, it's their own languages, but they compile down and run on top of Java. Well, BoxLang is just another one of those types of languages. Now, one thing we do though is we have a ColdFusion compatibility module that's part of our offering. So if you're running ColdFusion sites, your CFCs, your CFMs, all that stuff, it's designed to be a drop-in replacement for some of the other engines, whether it's Adobe or Lucy or maybe Blue Dragon. Maybe you're still a Blue Dragon user out there and you're looking for something, or a Rilo. I mean, maybe you're really old and haven't upgraded in years.
16 years in that case.
Legacy. It's people are out there, and
there are. I was working with a client today. They're still on SQL Server 2008, which kind of
really
expired. Yeah, they actually did upgrade to a newer version, but they're running in compatibility mode on 2008. So it's amazing what people will do.
Well,
and I understand, when you have technical debt, it can take a lot of effort to retest thousands of bits of code. You know how legacy ColdFusion code is. Sometimes it generates SQL on the fly and does all kinds of if statements and other wackiness to create the SQL statement. So who knows what SQL's being created?
Yeah. Now, to be fair, I'm not going to make any specific statements, but if you're running something that ran on ColdFusion 8 or 7, you can't expect it to be completely supported with these modern engines. That's the same for Adobe or Lucy or anything. I mean, to be fair. So you might have to update.
Yeah, and you can't expect it to get security up patches either, because Adobe stopped dishing those out about 20 years ago.
Right.
So for that version.
If you have that legacy code base, you're going to have to do some work to modernize it. And obviously, modernize or die, that's one of our big things where Ortus is huge on them pushing modernization. That's a kind of our tongue-in-cheek, modernize or die, but we really mean that. We want you to be modern. Use the best practices, use security best practices, deployment best practices, development best practices. But with BoxLang, and I didn't get this at first, and took Brad kind of explaining it to me twice, because sometimes I'm a little slow. But one of the cool things with the BoxLang is it's multiple runtime. Now, say you're an Adobe ColdFusion developer or a Lucy developer, and you're like, well, what does that mean? Well, runtime is where you can execute that code. So Adobe and Lucy, I think I'm speaking out of turn here, is really a single runtime. It's the web runtime. And that's it. You have your web application, that's where it runs. Well, BoxLang has that web runtime, but we also have all these other runtimes as well. So that if you want to develop a BoxLang application, it doesn't have to be on the web. It doesn't have to be a web application at all. You can use it to just interact with the file system and do whatever. You can use it to write a Lambda that's not a web application. It's just your BoxLang stuff. And so it was kind of a little bit of a shift for me to realize, well, BoxLang isn't ColdFusion. It does that, but it does a whole lot more. And so it was once that clicked for me, like, wow, this is really, really cool. But yeah, anyway, I don't want to go down too much around a whole. But the other really cool thing, but there's a lot of cool things about BoxLang. We don't have time to talk about it all. But the Java interoperability with it as well. So you can just talk to Java so quickly and easily. Any sort of Java library out there, you can import that in and use it. Now, to be fair, you can do that with some of the others as well, but sometimes you have some issues with that, or things don't always work the way you want it to. With BoxLang, that is not going to be the case. It's just going to work. We're developers. We've been doing a lot of development for years. We know the pain points. We know what we would like to see in the language, and that's what we did. We didn't just wake up one morning, when I say we, the royal we, but Luis especially, didn't wake up just one morning and say, I'm just going to make BoxLang. Well, no, it was a lot of thought and care, and what do we want to see, and what are our pain points with existing things, and what can we fix, and what would be better, and that's where BoxLang came about.
That's great. So yeah, it wasn't just pain points with Adobe ColdFusion or Lucy, although obviously those can provide pain points for things you wish they could do, but you put in requests for changes and they never happen, or in some cases you want it to change and there's reasons why they can't change it because of, backwards compatibility or
right.
Other things.
You made a really good point there. I don't want to comment too much because I'm not talking aspersions about anybody. What I can say is the Ortus team We're very visible. We're very approachable. You want to talk to us, you're going to get us. And there's a lot of us. And so one of the benefits with working with Ortus and
Are you sure the company name isn't the Borg?
the Borg,
Yes, you will assimilate,
you will be
taking over the whole ColdFusion world with Box. And I will note that the Borg spaceship is a cube, so it kind of fits into this box metaphor. I think it's a secret ploy.
That is a great observation, Michaela. And in fact, my wife's the real Trekkie. I love Star Trek. I'm an original. I'm an OG.
Oh,
Trek
okay. You're an OG.
Kurt's my captain.
Okay.
But that's funny you said that. I'll bring that up. You will be assimilated. But again, the thing to keep in mind is we love ColdFusion. ColdFusion's not going away. We're not trying to get people away from ColdFusion, but we're also trying to go to the next step in the evolution of
the next generation, to use Trekkie speak.
Right.
Yes.
And so
will you be playing Captain Picard in this? You seem to have the demeanor.
I'd be like the old man Kirk that comes back from Generations.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'm a big William Shatner fan. People have their opinions on him. I think he's hilarious. Like him a lot. So
he's a great actor. I assume he is acting.
He is. People make fun of him, but he's actually he's very accomplished.
Yes, he is. And he fought all those aliens and survived. So,
Mm-hmm. But anyway,
yeah,
day, Ortus, we're here. You can talk to us. You can find us at conferences. There's a lot of us. We're the accessibility. That's what one thing I can tell you Ortus has: transparency and accessibility. I'm not saying others don't. I'm just saying that's what we have, and I've seen it.
So you collectively expressed, what you were looking for in other languages. Mm-hmm. Some things got implemented, some didn't, and you decided, hey, let's see if we can do a better job on a modern JVM language, and it's compatible with a lot of ColdFusion code. There might be one or two features that are special to Adobe ColdFusion. I think you guys are working on the PDF tags at the moment, or Brad commented on that. But 99% of the code is going to run fine. But in addition, it's its own language and has its own additional things that couldn't be done in ColdFusion as it is today. And hopefully with the competition between these three engines, it will just inspire everyone to do better.
Well, competition breeds innovation. I mean, we're not out to put anyone away. We're out to just evolve the workflow. It's betterment for everybody. Competition helps everybody.
Absolutely.
But
I've said from the beginning, this is a great news that there's another ColdFusion engine, because one of the critiques I've sometimes read from people like Gardner analysts is, only Adobe makes ColdFusion. Well, that's a bunch of BS, because Lucy has been making it for like 15 years now. You guys are putting out BoxLang. So, multiple engines.
But one thing I do want to make a distinction on, BoxLang is not a ColdFusion language. BoxLang is its own application engine, its own language that is compatible with ColdFusion. You actually have to install the ColdFusion compatibility module for BoxLang in order to enable all the ColdFusion goodness.
Okay.
BoxLang really is its own thing. And yes, we work with ColdFusion. And in your ColdFusion, if you just want to do ColdFusion, that's it. You can do that. You can do your CFCs, your CFMs. It'll all work. But as you're doing that, if you want to slip in some BoxLang, you can do that too. And as we come out with more modules over time, I think there's even a Python module where you can run some Python code within some of your stuff. We're looking at those things, see what makes sense. We are not a one-trick pony. Not that I'm saying others are, but yes, ColdFusion is extremely important to us. We love ColdFusion. It's our bread and butter. It's not going away, but we're a whole lot more. It's kind of like you have to look at the forest from the trees. There's a ColdFusion tree and it's beautiful, but we're also the forest of BoxLang.
There you go. And Box. Don't forget that all the Box products are without count.
Yep. And all the Box products are going to be certified to work with BoxLang. I think I saw maybe, I don't want to talk out his turn. I thought I saw a message from Luis even today saying that they're all updated already to work with BoxLang RC1. But I'd have to check. I'm on
Well,
the
I would
team, but
I
I'm
would
not the guy
expect all the box products to work with BoxLang, including CommandBox, so you can spin up your little server copy of
that
BoxLang.
absolutely does. I'm gonna say like right now as of RC1, definitely with release, everything's gonna work. But I think as of right now, RC1, it's been certified and all works. And now the latest versions, I will say, if you're running an old version of ColdBox, you might have some issues. You gotta, but that's to be fair with anything. You can't run old stuff on new stuff and expect it all to work perfectly. Um, but I think
Absolutely. I say try and stay up to date. Reduce technical debt.
well, this is a really cool story. I feel like I'm gonna mess it up, but a big name in the community that we all know is Sean Corfield. He's been around for years. Very smart person, does lots of stuff. When we first opened up BoxLang beta to the community, he got excited because he had a site that was running on an older version of Lucy or Rilo that he was not able to upgrade with the way the Lucy path was, how they did some things. But he was able to get it up and running with BoxLang. And I was like, it's an older site. It's not necessarily worth it just to rewrite it all because it works. Why, but they wanted to get it on a more modern environment. So he did it. He jumped in, he played with it, he helped us with some things. Obviously we're very open to suggestions and comments, but yeah, he's running his site on it now, I believe. And this is a guy that knows his stuff, had this old site and went all in on it. Now, I'm not saying he's running it everywhere, but this particular site that was older and a legacy had issues is now running on BoxLang, I believe.
That's an amazing story. And he's quite a picky coder. So if he likes it, that would indicate it's doing some good things.
Oh, yeah. He knows his stuff.
Well, he used to be on the CFML standards committee when that existed. So.
Well, and before that, was it Macromedia and part of the ColdFusion development for Adobe?
Yes, he was.
So yeah, yep. So that was for me personally. Again, I'm old. I've been around a long time, like you mentioned, 20 plus years. And so he was a name that I was excited to. Oh wow, hey, Sean's here. Sean's doing this is really cool.
Has he ever been to Into the Box?
He probably has. I have not been to every Into the Box. Since I've joined Ortus, I've been to all of the ones the last 3 years. I'll be at this one as well. There were a couple years I didn't make it, just unless you're paying for it yourself. Sometimes you don't get to go to some of these conferences. You work for companies. So I don't know.
Why is it that companies don't send people to conferences, whether it's Into the Box or CF Summit East or CF Summit West in Las Vegas or CF Summit India or CF Camp in Europe? I mean, there's a lot of ColdFusion conferences out there, and they're pretty geographically spread out.
Well, in my experience, there are probably 3 reasons. One, if you've got a lot of developers in your team, you don't have the budget for it. So you're just not going to do it or you have so many people that you can only send some, you can't send them all. So who do you send? Well, nobody gets to go because we can't send everybody. That's happened. Some companies sadly just don't, hey, it's working. Don't touch it. Why bother, investing in your employees and knowledge because it works. So let's go focus on, building a new feature that makes us money. Or sometimes, and this is kind of the sad part, Michaela, some developers themselves just don't care.
Oh no.
They're happy.
They don't want to grow and
they don't. And at my former job, I did a lot of interviewing. We had a pretty good sized development team. I'd be one of the interviewers bringing people in, and we'd interview people with like 10 years, 20 years experience. I'm a senior developer. And we're looking at the resume and talking to them. Like, you're a 20-year developer, or you're a senior developer, but you repeated your senior year like 15 years in a row. It's like,
there you go.
And so you gotta, a lot of developers that are excited about languages, excited about topics, excited to learn things. And then you got a lot of people that are just kind of comfortable, and why bother? And so if they don't want to go, they're not asking their company to send them. So
I hope no one's listening to the show who falls into that slot, or they have a very good reason why they're doing that because of some personal family situation, perhaps.
Well, there's that too. But and honestly, I think anyone listening to your show is probably on the on the bell curve of being excited about technologies and wanting to do things. And
Yes, go ColdFusion, CF Alive.
Absolutely. So they're not the people just sitting there, George Jetsoning the buttons and hey, it works. So breathe on it. So
yeah. So I mean, I know you don't mean the tagline "modernize or die" for human beings, but your career, if you don't modernize every year and learn new techniques, is eventually going to die. That's just the truth. Unless you're a COBOL programmer, in which case maybe there's hope.
No, someday you
boom. Someday even COBOL.
Yeah, we were joking about. Well, anyway, the modernize or die. Obviously, it's a little tongue in cheek, but it's not just modernizing your tech; it's modernizing yourself. I mean, if you're not keeping up with trends, now we're not saying you have to always do the latest and greatest every day, all the time ever, or you're not going to survive. That's not what we're saying. But at a certain point, there's a series of best practices that I think we can all kind of agree on you should be doing. We should all be using version control. There are a lot of...
You'd be amazed. We do this annual survey, as you know, the State of the ColdFusion Usage Survey, and there's more than 10% of people who don't really do version control.
Right. And it's like, how do you... I get not wanting to be that canary, because I'm not that canary either. But at some point, there's a best practice is best for a reason.
Well, this bell curve, at one end, you've got the canary, and at the other end, you have the dodo, the bird that went extinct. So you don't want to get caught at the back end of the bell curve. It could get ugly.
Yep.
So, and there's good reasons, technically, and business reasons why you should be doing source control or any of these other modern innovations.
Well, there's security reasons for do you be a good steward of your company and your products. But really, on a personal level, this is probably the most competitive landscape that's ever been in recent times to be a developer. And if you want to be competitive and you want to make yourself valuable, you can't just sit around and unless you're a COBOL developer and you've got a very specific skill set and you got to learn.
And security clearance. Don't forget that aspect.
Security clearance. That's absolutely.
That protects a lot of jobs.
But you gotta, if the sad reality is, if you lost your job today, I hope that doesn't happen to anybody. But if you lost your job today and you had to go out in that market trying to get hired, you're going up against a lot of other developers that have already been investing in themselves, whether it's in cloud or DevOps or CI/CD or security best practices. Not just ColdFusion. It's not just ColdFusion anymore. It hasn't been just ColdFusion for a long time.
Yes.
And so,
I mean, I did an interview with someone who had lost their job. It was very sad. And they were working on, I helped them, and they kindly came on the episode to explain what they had to do. And it wasn't just their resume and spamming out thousands of, whatever. They had to improve their LinkedIn profile. They had to put some open source code in their Git profile. They had to actually demonstrate they were doing more modern things. So, and one of the ways you can demonstrate that is by going to a conference or doing some video training if you can't travel for some reason, but staying up to date.
Even just be able to show that interviewer that, hey, I may not be, the latest and greatest, but I know enough and I can level up as needed. And for me, like when I interviewed people, especially juniors, I had to interview a lot of junior developers. I always looked for attitude and aptitude. Do you have a good attitude about wanting to learn and want to learn things, or are you set in your ways? Do you have the ability to learn and ability to be coached? That was always more important to me, rather than you already knew the latest X already. So you got to show them there's a reason they should hire you, and be
promoted. Even if you're not in any risk whatsoever of losing your job, you might want to get promoted. You might want to get, even not an official promotion, you might want to work on that cool new project.
Yeah.
And to do that, you need to show these things, and going to conferences, learning new things is a way to do that. So I just want to address some of those objections that some companies come up with. Dev team is too big, can't send everyone, so we're going to send no one. Well, I know a lot of companies, they kind of, if they got 10 people on the dev team, 3 people get to go this year, another 3 people go next year.
That's on my last company.
And they rotate it around. So that's a possible solution for that. If your company has a no training mentality, I think that was your second objection. No one's getting trained here. No how, no one. Maybe you have to do some of this. There's plenty of free videos from the Ortus channel, the TerraTech channel, the Adobe channel, various other YouTube channels. There's the free bits of CF casts. If you feel you can afford how much does CF cost these days? $250 or something a year. You knew. I'm going to put you on the spot, Daniel.
I know, Michaela. What are you doing? You're killing me, Smalls.
You can't be a DJ and not be put on the spot.
Yeah.
Just look at Robin Williams in that movie he made about a DJ in Vietnam.
Oh, that was a great movie.
Good morning, Vietnam. He was on the spot all the time. He was on air.
Yeah, I want to say CF.
In fact, I want to say he actually attended Into the Box in 1968.
He probably did. That's where Luis got the idea. He was inspired, even though it was before Luis was born. I know that because I'm slightly older than Luis. It was before I was born. I want to say CF Cast, I believe, is $25 a month. Or
there you go.
If you
I think anyone who has a job could probably afford $25 a month. Just don't drink a Starbucks for 3 days.
Or avocado toast. I'm kidding. I love avocado toast.
One avocado toast, and you will learn so much. There's like 400 videos in CF casts. It's amazing.
Just try it for a month and see. If there's anybody watching, and put myself out there, if there's anybody watching that really wants to try it and cost isn't a factor, reach out to me personally, and I will see if I can get you at least a free month just so you could try it. I might
wow, what an offer. But I hope we're going to put your personal contact details in the show notes, Daniel.
Oh, man. Yeah, my email. No. Yes, we will. And I'm saying, especially if you lost your job and you legitimately need help, reach out to us. We're compassionate people. We want the kind of my personal attitude. I think Ortus probably shares a lot of this as well, is a rising tide lifts all ships.
Yes.
So you need help, reach out.
That's great to hear.
But at the
are there any volunteers at CF Into the Box?
We've got that pretty much covered with our own staff. But if somebody's interested, you can reach out. Nobody's ever asked me that, Michaela.
All right. Well, I'm asking you it now, just in case someone's like urging to whatever, and they're in the Washington D.C. metro area, perhaps, and or have a friend or family there they could visit.
Yeah, I will take that back to the team. My guess is no, well, at least this year, because the plans are pretty well established. But I'll take it back because you know what? I'm not the be all end all by any means. I'm just the person they put on a podcast and say, "Here, go talk to Michaela and have a nice time."
What about students? Are they welcome to attend Into the Box if they're super keen to learn a modern ColdFusion and JVM language?
Everyone is welcome.
All right.
Everyone is welcome. We have a couple of discounts, actually, since we're talking about this.
Yes, let's talk discounts. I was looking on the website to try and understand this. I found the basic pricing right now is $249.50 for the 2-day conference. It's probably a bit more for the 1-day thing on top.
Well, then we have the early bird, which expires March 15th, and that is $349.50 if you just want the conference, or $449.50 if you want the workshop and the conference. And then after March 15th, it goes to the regular price of $499 for the conference, or $699 for the workshop and the conference. But we've got a little special thing for you, Michaela, and for all your listeners of CF Alive Podcast. We have a special 25% off promo code that we are offering your listeners if they want to register before the early bird ends. So
wow.
I'm not sure when this episode is going to go live, hopefully sooner than later. So with using the CF Alive _25 promo code, I'm sure you could put that in the show notes and whatever. Then you get 25% off. So if you want to come to the conference only, that's $262.13. Or if they want to come to the workshop and conference, it's $337.13.
Wow.
25%
So
discount.
that's a discount on top of a discount. It's even better than Walmart. And I don't think Into the Box is available at Walmart. So
not yet, but
Not
Luis
yet.
is always that guy.
Yes.
This wasn't a
So
this
just
was
make
my-
sure I spelled that code right. Is it all caps or is it mixed case?
I don't think it matters. The way that Maho is one of our wonderful marketing people. She gave me this info.
Yes.
Capital C, capital F, capital A, lowercase live, _ 25. And the 25 is capitalized.
All right. I'm going to test this out live on air just to make sure that discount code actually is in there. And whoops. I think I'm going to check the spelling and put it in the show notes because the spelling I wrote down was quite right. But maybe it'll go live tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be there. Let me know, people listening, if it isn't working for you. I'll make sure to get it fixed.
Yep. Let Michaela know. Michaela let us know, or
yes.
Maho. We'll make sure.
Yeah, and we're only sending out your email to 8.5 billion people who listen to the CF Live podcast. So you'll be okay.
It's fine. It's all good. And again, the agenda file release I mentioned on March 15th. But wait, there's more. Talk about some of the benefits of coming into the box. Everyone that comes is going to get a 1 year free of a BoxLang Plus license. This no matter when you register.
Which license?
BoxLang Plus license. So
so there's 3 versions, right? There's BoxLang, BoxLang Plus, and BoxLang Plus Plus.
Yes.
Is that right?
So, yeah, and the way to think of it, BoxLang itself, it's open source. It's free, right? Everyone can use it. Go play with it, have fun. But one of the cool things that Ortus does is we have professional services that support our products, and other companies do too. I'm not saying that they don't, but our BoxLang Plus subscription, it gives you that extra, hey, I need help with this or I need help with that. You got some benefits to it. Trying to see, again, being put on the spot here. If you go to our
it provides support. It's very similar to the Lucy support license, or whatever called, or the Adobe Gold support plan, or whatever they call it. In other words, you can talk to the engineers, get, if there's a problem with the language not working, they can help you out.
Yeah, and it's got some other features too that isn't part of the free, to be honest. Things like we've got a code scanner that will scan your code for compatibility. We've got things like, a compiler. If you want to do a sourceless deployment, we could do that with the Plus or the Plus Plus. We've got some other features that are coming to the Plus and Plus Plus only. So the Plus is the first level of support, and the Plus Plus is even more support.
And I just want to say, it makes people feel good when you support open source. If you're using it, it's good to support it.
It does. It really does. In Ortus itself, we have a lot of charitable works that we do. And so it's not just supporting Ortus as, hey, those people are doing cool ColdFusion and language stuff. We're also helping others as well. So you're right.
I know
it feels good to support us.
There you go.
Selfishly, supporting us is going to help support yourself, because we're going to still do what we're going to do. We're going to make cool tools. We're going to modernize things. We're going to put all this great educational content out there. And it's you help us and we'll help you.
And I think there is this concept for both BoxLang and Lucy, whereas if there's some feature that doesn't work quite how you need it, or you're trying to upgrade some legacy code that needs a new thing in it, you can pay to get it implemented now instead of waiting wherever it is on the backlist. So, whereas with commercial software, you can ask for a feature, but there's no guarantee it'll ever appear, and because it's closed source, you can't add it in yourself. So, another benefit of open source. I just want to get the word out about open source, because in our survey, a lot of people say they don't use open source because their companies are afraid it might be naughty or dangerous, or the licensing might screw them up.
Well, do you use Linux on your
Personally,
server?
No, but I have done. Well, I do on my phone, I guess.
Well, a lot of companies do. That's open source.
Yes.
They're already using open source all over the place. You're using, MySQL. You're probably using open source. You probably use open source and don't even realize it. You got a website with jQuery even maybe you haven't upgraded your front end language in a while, but you're using open source. Open source is everywhere. It's not going away. There's a lot of benefits to open source.
I think we should talk about that in a separate episode, though. Let's talk about how people can travel into the box. How do we get to this conference if we're not actually living right next door to wherever it is on Massachusetts Avenue in downtown DC near DuPont Circle?
You're
metro station. I know, I've been there. I've been there. I know. I lived in the DC area for 21 years. I know it very, very well. So that area is a very nice area. Lots of nice restaurants and cafes. There's that metro stop you can get there. There are plenty of hotels there, but it's probably cheaper to stay a little further out.
Well, I remember, I want to say 15 years ago, maybe? CF
I left in 2011.
Well, I think the last CF United ever that they had. 2010. I was at that one. That was my first CF United. And again, it's awesome. And that's it.
Well, I'm sorry. The 2008 financial thing affected a lot of companies' travel and training budgets. So we had to end. But, we had a good run of 11 years. So I really enjoyed doing it. It was an amazing conference. And I'm happy to help out anyone running conferences on things I've learned from it. I was talking to Maria Jose from Ortus about things she could do to promote the event better. Happy to help with cool things to do.
Well, it's interesting not to take our Wayback Machine, but CF United was an awesome conference. And then there's some other conferences too. I remember going to CF Objective for a number of years. I go to some summits.
Another great conference.
I know.
NC DevCon.
I never made it to NC DevCon. I wanted to, and I never did.
Oh, no.
But those conferences, things happen, life goes on. And so really the only 3 conferences these days, you got the CF Summits, you got the CF Camp in Europe, and then you got Into the Box. And those are...
Okay, so there's actually 4 CF Summits. I just want to correct you there. There's one in Japan, as well as India, and as well as Washington, D.C. and Las Vegas. So they really do cover the world. I may be wrong in Japan. Maybe it's Malaysia, but somewhere out in Asia.
You're right.
CF Summit.
CF Summit as a conference. You're right. They have different dates, different locations. CF East.
Different feel. I went to CF Summit India. It was a totally different feel to CF Summit Las Vegas. Something about the lack of gambling machines there.
They do a nice job at Summit in Vegas. I don't go for the gambling. I go for the content. A couple years ago, I was fortunate enough to present.
We'll have to give them that for the tagline for the conference.
Go for the content, not the gambling. Well, it was really cool. I presented there a couple of times over the years. And the last time I went, my wife and son came with. And so I'm at
nice.
Doing my thing. They were going out. Vegas is also kind of a family city at times too. They saw the Eiffel Tower. They saw this. They saw In-N-Out Burger. So they had a blast doing all the family-oriented stuff while I was, at the conference doing what I do, what we all do.
Yes. No, it's great place to go. A lot of things to do there. So just closing the loop on the travel. If you're living in the Washington D.C. metro area, you can drive there. I've driven in Washington D.C. a lot. I'd encourage people not to drive down to the DuPont Circle area if you can avoid it, but it is technically possible to do that. You can take the metro. It's on the Red Line, DuPont Circle Metro. So anywhere in the metro area, you can park your car at a metro station in the suburbs. You can drive down. You could take the Amtrak down to Union Station and then take the metro from there. That's another route to get there if you're coming from Baltimore or out in the suburbs of Maryland or Virginia. There are also light rail that go into the center of DC. The location is right in the center of Washington, D.C. Great things to see there for friends, kids, friends, family. All the monuments and whatever are kind of only a short walk from there. Very safe part of Washington, D.C. So, and then if you're flying, I don't know if that's what your hand was doing there. Was that a flying motion? Yeah. I thought it was like a seal swimming motion if you were to swim up the river.
I don't know if you want to go to that river, would you? I would think not, but
Probably not. No, I think it is fairly clean these days. But there are 3 airports in the Washington, D.C. area. The nearest one is Ronald Reagan Airport, and there's metro from there. Probably the one with the most flights is Dulles International, and that also now has a metro, I think, that goes all the way from there down to downtown. Yeah, I think they built that a few years ago. Maybe I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure there is. And then the 3rd airport is BWI, Baltimore Washington International. That's a little further away, but you can take the Amtrak train from there if you were doing that. And then as far as places to stay, there's a zillion hotels and Airbnbs. Maybe you have a friendly ColdFusion friend who's in the area or family. Cheaper hotels are going to be further out from the center. So.
Well, we do have an Ortus hotel that we're staying at, the Royal Sonesta.
Ortus Hotel?
Well,
you guys don't just make box products. You actually, is this like Trump Tower? You have Ortus Tower or something?
The box tower. Don't give Luis any
box tower. Is it shaped like a box?
Well, that would be kind of a cool with the.
Yeah.
But no, so they have the hotel this year is actually like within a block or two from.
Oh wow.
The venue. Last year it was a nice place, but it was a hike, and going to the hotel, the conference was downhill. So I can deal with that, but going back up, what goes down, you must go back up. And
yes,
I'm happy about that. But I did have a really lovely walk one of the mornings with Charlie Earhart, who stayed.
Nice.
So we had a nice stroll, and Charlie knows all about the DC area and knows a ton of stuff, and it was really nice. But I Ubered back up that night. They had a lot of equipment and stuff, so
that's another option. You stay a little further out and take an Uber in with some other CFers.
But if you stay at the hotel that we're staying at, it's like a block away or something. So
yes,
exactly, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, I'm seeing you've listed a few hotels, like 4 or 5 hotels there, from anywhere from $90 a night. Wow, that's really cheap for Washington D.C. That's a little further walk. Or the one that's next door, $200 a night, or there's a Hilton that's $280 a night on the deal you guys have.
One quick thing I do want to say, because I know time is, we're chatting. If you're a business and you want to send your team, we were talking about that earlier, you actually get 50% off your second into the box ticket, on-site ticket, if you are sending your team. Or if you buy 2, you get 1 free. So if you purchase 2 on-site tickets, we'll give you the 3rd one.
So I can do the early bird discount, the TerraTech discount code, and get 2 for 1 free.
Level up, and
wow. If we go any further on discounts, all this will be paying people to attend.
I know, right? But if we've packed the house and everyone was having fun, that would be cool.
And I noticed, I scrolled further down the Into the Box site, Into the Box org, and I'll put that link in the show notes in case you don't have a chance to write it down. But I noticed there's even more places you can stay that are even less expensive. It lists some youth hostels and housing options that start at $60 a night, or $47 a night. Oh my goodness! But that's a bit of a further walk. So
updating the show notes as we speak.
Yes,
but I wanted to throw that in there about the team plans available.
Yep. No, that's great. So I think we've covered all the things we need to cover. Is there anything else I forgot to ask you that I didn't ask?
I don't think so. I mean, come to the conference again. You'll see we got some rifles there. We have, Happy Box. You get some swag. You get to, hang out with everybody. It really is a good conference.
It's a great conference. I've been to it a few times. Really intimate, friendly. Learned a lot. Learned as much in the hallway tracks as I did in the sessions, to be honest.
Yep. So, and again, we're not as huge as we'd like to be, but because of that, you do have access to more people. And if you had a conference I used to love going to, it's no longer sadly around. It's called That Conference in the Wisconsin Dells. Great conference, great technical people, is awesome. But they, with their height, they'd have like 500 to 1,000 people there. And
wow,
to meet most of the people.
No, to be honest, a fair number, I don't know what the percentage is, but more than half of developers I've ever met are quite introvert, and go to 1,000-person conference is a little overwhelming,
Yeah.
Here, is going to be less than 100 people. They're very friendly. So, you're guaranteed to make some CF friends.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to be going to Dev Nexus in a couple weeks. Yeah, I'm going to be out there with Luis and Brad, and
Oh, cool.
when Luis is presenting there, we're sponsoring there. We'll have a booth, and that's like a 2,000 person conference. I think
Wow.
it's a lot.
Now, if people want to find you online, Daniel, what are the best ways for people to locate you?
Well, a few links we could throw out there. Obviously, ortussolutions.com. That's for Ortus. Into the box. .org is the Into the Box website. If you want to find me personally, first off, I'm flattered. Thank you. But you can find me on LinkedIn. Just go to /Daniel. It changed it on me here.
Daniel J. Garcia.
It's all together.
Yes.
Daniel J. Garcia is my user handle. Probably LinkedIn is probably the best way to find me. If you're on GitHub, I'm Garcia Dev, like developer Garcia Dev. I don't really tweet anymore. And my Facebook is more personal. But those probably, if you find me there, D Garcia at ortussolutions.com. You can find me that way as well. Or if you're on Slack, if you're on the CFML Slack, I am on there. My handle is Garcia Dev. If you're on the Box Team Slack with Ortus, you can find me on there as well.
Perfect. Well, those are great ways to reach out to you. Thanks so much for coming on. And I'll put all those contact details in the show notes. That'll be at the terratech.com site for this show, along with all the other links and the notes we took during it, and the transcript, and the video, and the audio. So it'll all be out there. Yes. We're just waiting for the Dr. Spock kind of Vulcan mind meld to Daniel Garcia to get, you can do the Vulcan hand.
Dude, I am ambidextrous with it.
Ambi Vulcan. Yes.
Although this is my normal,
rock
my
on
son's
Vulcan.
out there rocking out there to shows. I'm rocking out.
Yes. There you go. So thanks for coming and telling us all about Into the Box, and a little sneak peek into BoxLang and some of the other cool box tools, and having a great sense of humor doing it. So hope you come back on that.
This is fun. Let's not wait several years again, Michaela. Let's before we can chat again like this. I miss talking to you. This is great. I love that I had the opportunity to come here. I love that you're still doing what you're doing, and you're getting out there and keeping CF alive, and we appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I love making CF alive. I get depressed when I see developers, oh no, this language is dying. It just kind of makes me bummed off. So it's like, I'm just going to make
25 years.
I know it's crazy. It's not going away. It's to be honest, with what you're doing at Ortus, with all the box products and the conference and all the other conferences and all the other new release, Adobe ColdFusion 2025 is going to come out like tomorrow afternoon at 3:15 p.m. That's my prediction. No, it'll come out. They're on their, I forget what they called it, but they're on a beta. Do they call it beta gold, or they're on some later release candidate? And then BoxLang's on release candidate 1. Lucy 6 came out a few months ago. So, all new versions coming out. And I'm assuming that BoxLang will do a similar open source type thing where you have like monthly dot releases of new things and fixes.
Yeah. I can't. I don't want to.
You can neither confirm nor deny that this might not be true.
What I can tell you is, if you see how we handle our other products like ColdBox and CommandBox, you can kind of see how we do things at Ortus. Lots of documentation, lots of transparency, lots of that's how we do things. We're developers. We've been doing it a long time, and you know us. So, and if you don't know us, please come into the box, get to know us.
There you go. Right. Well, thanks for coming on the show, and look forward to seeing you at a future podcast or event.
Cheers. Thank you.
This podcast is brought to you by TerraTech, the ColdFusion experts. Develop, secure, optimize. Get detailed show notes on today's episode and your free CF Alive Modern ColdFusion Guide at terratech.com. That is TERATECH.com. And now back to today's show.